And we are live.
I just wanna be free with my people to prosper and hold it down. Don't you sit and wait, contemplating on a revolution. The time is now. I just wanna be free. 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 Can't you see?
Okay. Another episode of the Things I Wish I Knew About Money podcast. I'm your host, Camille Smith, and today we have a lovely guest, Ryan O'Neill Knight. Welcome, sir, to episode 112 or 112th episode.
Big things.
Whoa, yes. Ryan, how's it going today? I see that you have, one of the representing one of your companies and all that good stuff.
Oh, yes. Then we'll go back and forth. We'll be like, it's all good. Got to queue it up. But
That's
things are
true.
blessed, man. I feel the holidays got to reboot, filter out a lot of things that don't give me energy, and now focus on the things that do. So that's why I'm glad to be here, because I'm a fan of the podcast, so I love the support.
I appreciate that. And I remember being on with you and Dr. Vibes the other day, and
Yes.
it was, I try to tune in as much as possible. I try to do a little sneak, but it was actually a great discussion yesterday. So I appreciated that. And it's funny because even though we know each other virtually, I feel like we've only seen each other in person in like the recent, like last 2 years.
Right.
Which is wild.
Because we've known of each other for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. I just like how we're able to connect with other people like Christopher Lawrence, Derek, and Dr. Vibe and all that good stuff. So
absolutely,
it's great that even though you used to be in the deep west,
whatever it was, Dr. Vibe say across the border.
Exactly, it feels like that. It literally feels like that. But I'm honored for you to be here and all that good stuff.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah,
and
pleasure.
And I know most people know who you are, I feel.
Most, I don't think.
You're a celebrity.
I'm still at 0.0001% of the world.
No. You know how many things you do? You actually, like, the best thing about you is that you actually try to connect like small businesses or even mid-sized business and try to like help them become scale up and all that good stuff. And when it comes to that, I always want to feature individuals like that. So thank you. And I just want you to, tell the folks what you do, because I know you have you're a jack of all trades. You have many things under your sleeve.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm trying to now really hone in on what I'm good at. So full history, back in 2009, I was laid off from my job. Actually, it was 2 years before I was supposed to get married. So quite gut-wrenching time. And it was that kind of back in my mind. My dad always said, if you want to control your own destiny, if you want to become rich, you should start your own business. He also said I should go into politics, but that's been way back. That's not even like close, right? So the entrepreneurship thing, I was like, okay, let me see. This is a good time. I went back to school with the support of my wife, because new family starting. So got to finish the diploma at Sheridan College, which took me 10 years to finish a 3-year diploma. That's a conversation for our next day. But while in school, I was able to talk to my brother. He loved cleaning cars. I said, hey, I'm studying business, I'm learning accounting. Let me do like the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
And Detailing Nights was born.
Nice.
So as I was at school, I also did College Pro Painters. So I don't know if those know about College Pro. They teach university and college students how to start their own painting companies. So I said, if somebody had introduced entrepreneurship to me when I was in high school, I feel a lot of the derails or bumps in the road that I hit might have been averted because I would have been engaged and focused on something. So we brought that youth entrepreneurship training into Detailing Nights. And that's really what I get most joy out of. I mean, cleaning cars is cleaning cars, but being able to teach entrepreneurship, especially to those that don't realize they have the potential to start a business, really brings me the energy.
That is very true, because I think I know a couple people that are part of it and they're like, oh my God, Ryan's amazing. Like he's hooking up my youths them. And
yes.
It not only does it give them the opportunity to be their own boss or like learn the guidelines of a business, but it also keeps them out of trouble as well. Right?
Engagement. That's where if you have something to do, it's difficult to get in trouble. I know I got in trouble when I had a lot of free time. But when at the days I had to go to work with my dad, no time to get in trouble because you're waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to work at 6. By the time you get home, you're tired. So you go back, and it's just a cycle. You're just busy. So that type of work ethic is what I feel we can introduce with Detailing Nights, because the parents are. I remember in Brampton driving on the 410, stuck in traffic. You get a call from a friend who has a son, and you can hear like the pain in her voice about how much potential she knows her son has. Making like $200 a month part-time. So he said, hey, plug into our program. By the time he graduated, he was making $500 a week. And these are things that he had innately the potential in him to do. He needed a vehicle. He just needed somebody to say, hey, here's an option. But a lot of times school is the only option that we're giving our kids. And if they don't excel at it, they feel like they're failures. And I was a student that initially excelled and then was expelled towards the end of it. So it started out great. Well, go far back. It's like, it didn't start out super great, but it was getting in trouble. High school, I feel like I thought I got a hang of it. And then, it derails at the end when you get introduced to girls and you get a car. So the loss of focus.
Especially the car.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yo, when you're mobile.
OMG.
My mom told me recently, it's like she used to not sleep when I used to be out on the road going to these all ages jams. So now I know, being a parent now, I know that feeling of when you don't know where your child is. Any call can come. But when you see them and you know where they are, you feel a lot better. But big time.
That's true. Yes. Oh man, those all ages.
The basement jams, how you mean? Oh, man.
Hope my dad doesn't watch this. But and it's great because especially with the moms, like being sad about the potential that their sons have, and that could be even a different discussion with like the education system. But like and big up your wife for being able to, hold it down and stuff. That's a big thing with like partnership and marriage and stuff, and being able to see a vision that you have. And it's like the same thing. You have a vision with the youths, and I also know that you have a vision with like adults. And how did like ACBN start and all that good stuff?
Yeah, because as students were graduating Detailing Nights, there was no real Black focused business organizations for them to plug into to keep the journey going. But really, it was for myself as I was looking to expand. I wanted to franchise and expand it across Canada into the US. And there were no Black focused business organizations to go to, again, that had the mandate to scale up companies. And I mean, I remember going to the Jamaican consulate and be like, hey, my parents are Jamaican. I got Jamaican blood. I have this business. I want to expand to Jamaica. Can you
Yes.
help me?
Mm.
They just look at it like that's not what we do here. So it's like,
You must have mad.
right, like, so where do you go? So that's where, and another thing that also happened is I'd been running DK for a while,
Yeah.
and it has its ups and then it hit its down. So when I was rebuilding it and coming out of a bankruptcy, realizing that I wanted to build it with a proper foundation. And because I couldn't find that organization to build or help me build a proper foundation, I said, let me see if we can build it ourselves. We brought 6 other entrepreneurs together. We said, hey, can we create this entity that would sit down with an entrepreneur, figure out what stage they're in, and then help them create a strategy to grow? I mean, ACBN was born. So the AfroCaribbean Business Network, we're 5 years old, actually. We celebrated our anniversary last month. But really shifting from just info sessions and networking events to actual capacity building, we realized that we would introduce opportunities to business owners, and a lot of them weren't at a certain baseline to be able to take advantage of those opportunities. So we said, instead of just presenting like, hey, when COVID hit, everybody was trying to understand the initiatives that are coming out of the federal government. Sometimes you have to be incorporated. Sometimes you have to have payroll. Sometimes you just have to have your taxes done and financial statements, foundational stuff, like things that are core to operating a business, but need guidance. Because I know I went through the trial and error of trying to figure it out myself. But now that I know better, being able to share and resources that I find I can share and really share notes. That's a big thing that I noticed we don't do in the community is, hey, if somebody got money from a thing, show me how you got it. So I think that's now starting to blossom, and people see like, yo, there's so much money flowing around us. You literally can't dilute the pot. Like the market is so big. If we share, we can amplify the empowerment of our community a lot faster.
Exactly.
Because that we can be a model of that.
I hear when you say that, because I always think that, especially like with any business, like we all can eat.
Like 100%, and eat globally. Like not like, why are we even thinking that we're locked into Canada? The world is literally linked. You can text across the world, you can Zoom across the world. We can connect to anywhere that we want if we have intention to. So it's really unlocking our own barriers that we put in our mind to say, oh, I can only sell my stuff in Toronto, when people around the world want your stuff, probably more so than the people. That's what I learned is we were looking at expanding into South Africa, and we spoke with an organization there, and they were more excited than any organization I have encountered in Canada ever. They're like, this is great. We already have something similar where they actually give cell phones, like smartphones, to students that have entrepreneurship programs in it. I was like, wait, I'm learning from what they're doing. So what have I been doing, sleeping on talking to people around the world to learn how to be better? There's so many different perspectives out there that if you lock yourself in, and that's another thing with our youth, a lot of times they're locked into their block. Like forget Canada, they don't even explore Toronto, they're just locked into their block. So really showing them the potential of what's possible.
When there's like so many places like Windsor or, well, I don't know about Barrie, but but you could expand it, right?
Yeah, one of my mentors, he talks about like nuclear power plants. It's like going to see these big corporate, or not even corporate, it's like big operational entities, like things that are bigger than a single person, so that it'll open your mind, like, yo, how does this place run? Things like, and that right now up in Bruce County, that nuclear power plant is like the biggest construction project happening in Canada. Why aren't we taking our youth up there to see where money is? Like, we have to expand.
That's a question I have to ask. Like, as a parent, would you, because typical Jamaican or typical Caribbean family, you have to be a lawyer, accountant, a doctor, but then it's like you guys realize that there's like other paths like a technician or that make money as well.
big money. And so recently we did a Black labor market assessment to kind of see
Hmm.
the journey of entrepreneurs, who they're hiring, what gaps they have, and what industries we're in.
Yes.
And to tell you that we are concentrated in 4 industries out of 42. Yeah, out of 42 industries, we're concentrated in 4. Professional services, so lawyers, accountants, consultants, IT, food, and the last one, arts and
Arts. Yes,
entertainment.
yes, yes.
But so 4 out of 42. So now there's 38 other industries that we're not even players in.
Looking at.
0%.
Mm.
Mining, aerospace, biotechnology, all these things that construction trades, we definitely need to increase because there's such a big gap in it.
Yes.
A lot of money can be made in it, yet we're not even in the conversation. So that's where, like you said, just introducing people to options. It's like, hey, here are the 42 industries. That's why I try to figure out, what is school doing? Like, they know what industries make our world run. Students from grade 0 to grade 12 should be introduced to every aspect of life. What does it take to buy a car?
True.
What taxes are you going to be paying? How to buy a house? Because Lord, the house buying journey, I thought that was supposed to be a glorious, joyful experience where you go house hunting and you're like, let's go see another house today, honey.
Yeah.
That ain't real. Listen, it is a grind. And again, I know the housing market went insane, but as I talk to others and their house buying journeys, whether it was in the 2000s or the 90s or the 80s, everybody has their own horror story. There was never a beautiful house buying time.
Roses.
Yeah, who's telling the story? They tell you, oh, you got to get into real estate, but it's a grind. But then once you get in, now you can kind of learn from that and grow.
And
but
just
that
calm and kick back.
Yeah, man, it's a complete, because it's like in business, there's always another level. So when you go to another level, let's say home ownership, you're a baby again. You have to learn and be humble. You don't know everything.
Yes.
So definitely start to learn. And
that's beautiful. It's funny you say that, because obviously a home ownership is the same as like a business or even parenting, because I can only imagine. I can only imagine. But as like a business, do you think there's because I'm glad you're teaching the youth, because I feel like the middle age and older folks, do you think that what kind of obstacles or troubles did they have when it came to starting a business that you found?
Yeah, a lot of times money is obviously a big one, because even for myself, your vision doesn't match your bank account. So you're always trying to capture and execute this big vision, and you literally are struggling to pay your bills. So there's no money there to for buffer. So getting comfortable with understanding how to leverage capital. A lot of times in our community, we use our savings, max out our credit cards, even take second mortgages on homes to start this business and run it. Whereas, again, I have friends in other cultures, they will have a business idea, do a brief business plan, go to the bank, this is what I'm doing, get money for it, run it, that didn't work, next one. I was like, whoa, what do you mean just next one? They're on offense.
Yeah.
We're defense. We're always, because now that we've maxed out our savings, we've maxed out our credit cards, that business has to work. There's no second chance, because there's no money in reserve. So when we talk about capital and ACBN, we started a microloan program. So I'm always educating when I hear, I don't like loans, I don't want debt. I was like, just hear me out. If you had 2 options, you need to buy a $5,000 piece of equipment. If you go into your savings now, if that equipment doesn't bring in the sales that you need to hit, now you don't have any reserve. Your business might go under. But if you took out a $5,000 loan and then you got that equipment and it increased your sales, the portion that your sales increased will pay off the loan. You literally just got free money. And if it doesn't bring in sales right away, you still have savings that you can pull from to kind of keep it afloat. So you give yourself buffer. And this is where the shift from being on defense to offense is a really big leap, because it's understanding risk tolerance. And it's like, if you create a plan for the money, then you're going to be in better position than if you're using the money to pay previous debts. Because a lot of times what we do, we get the next loan to try and dig ourselves out of the hole. Everything has to be perfect. There's no room for error.
Mistakes.
And nobody can live like that. Nobody can run their business perfect. And again, you might get a couple unicorns that say, hey, we bootstrapped and everything aligned and the timing was perfect. And they grew their companies. But that's so few and far between. We can't rely on those types of stories to run our businesses as a community.
You're right, because I'm not gonna lie, I think I was one of those people that were like, no, some, I don't want no loan.
Yes.
I don't want to.
My parents were saying that too. It's like, yo, you don't need debt and this, and like totally risk averse to loans. So it's not even our fault. It's like, this is how we're indoctrinated to money. In school, when did they ever bring up how to utilize a loan to execute anything? That conversation never happened. The only time is when they took like a 101 accounting course and they talked about debt being on liabilities, like your liability ledger.
Exactly.
But they don't talk about how to function with money. That to me,
and leveraging.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what's a joke is because I was like, I don't want a loan, I want a grant, because a grant is like practically free money too. But at the same time, like as an accountant, we know that if you take out a loan and have interest, it is tax deductible.
Right.
So that's a good thing to know. It's just, I think when we hear a loan or debt, we're like, oh, I don't want to pay this. This is bad.
Listen, so like churches even set us up to not view debt as it's such an unclean thing. So when you're thinking about your business, you're like, okay, let me go grant side instead of loans. But this is where, because hey, I am a fan of grants as much as anyone. I always say, like, I'm not an academic grant writer, but I do consider myself a grant hunter, because any money that's out there that's free and I don't have to repay, let's get it.
Right.
But the timelines for grants are not functional for business, because you're waiting 4 to 6 months for this grant application to go through before you even see the money. Now you have to be operating your business in that time. So rather than waiting 6 months, you could get a loan in 3 to 6 weeks, execute what you need to do. Hey, if a grant comes in, bonus.
And boom.
Now you're able to just amplify it. But relying on grants is difficult. And I hear that almost every day. It's like, no, I don't want loans, I'd rather a grant. I was like, that's fine, but the process, the
pros and cons.
It's
darn, because I didn't think. I'm trying to think if I've gotten a grant as of late, because I was always thinking, I'm like, no, I don't have time to write these things at all. Because, and then, like we were saying before, like if you don't put in the work to get those things, you're not gonna see the effort. And I was like, okay, that's true, but to the fact that it's like 4 to 6 months to
and I was looking at one, because we do a grant info session every other Wednesday. So the last Wednesday on January 11th, we were looking at one of the Ontario Trillium Foundation's grants. So the Youth Opportunities Fund, that's one that Detail Ignites has gotten before. It said they're accepting expressions of interest in August. Money is not going to flow based on their timeline till February 2024. So we're talking now, money's not going to flow for at least 12 to 14 months. you can't run that like that.
There's no way you can run your business.
Yeah, that is completely a side table thing. Hey, you put that in. If it comes, great. But we got to focus on operations.
Yeah, and golly, can you imagine like that plays into the factor because you can't just focus on that and then you'd have to hope and pray like please bring the thing,
Yes,
let
yes.
it come sooner than February 24th. So like I'm glad you said every other Wednesday you do a search because I have seen that before where you posted it. So people, you guys have to tune in on the Wednesdays and you do it on IG Live or
No, actually,
Zoom.
it's Zoom. So people
Zoom. Okay,
can
sorry,
ask
sorry.
questions. Yeah.
And when you have that, you're actually putting in the effort to help folks. And I think that's one key. And that's another key for trust because in the community, you know how our community love doesn't really trust folks.
Well, and that's where sharing notes comes in because we don't trust because everybody's holding their stuff close to their chest. And I remember when we got one of our biggest grants through the federal government, it was for $1 million over 4 years.
Yeah.
And that next month, I did the $1 million grant blueprint. And we said, here is the thing that we submitted. Like,
Yeah.
everybody gather around because this, what we wrote, it worked. Yeah. And that's where, I mean, over the last 5 years, no other nonprofit that has gotten money through a grant that I've seen has said, hey, here's how we did it. So that's what we have to shift to say, look at what works. This is the language that they're looking for. Now, template, man, like whatever you're going after, if this thing can help you, here you go. Like take the information.
I'm giving it to you. Exactly. What more do you want? And do you find that with the blueprint, and people actually follow it, how much success do they receive?
Yeah, well, that's where it's difficult because it's not the same grant that they're going after.
True.
So we have so many people now that just by coming to the sessions, they apply for grants that they wouldn't have applied for before. Good. They're successful. People that now feel more confident writing their own grants, because what happens is you use a template. Now you write out everything that's in your head about your project. You finish your work plan, you finish your budget. Now that's done. That becomes your own blueprint. So any grant that you see, you're like, boom, okay, 80% of the questions are going to be similar. So I just cut and paste it in. Now the funder's looking for some specific items or specific language or specific outcome. Now I can customize it and you're done. Instead of it taking you like focused 2 days of work, half a day and you got it in. So that shift allows you to now apply for more grants because they're not as tedious. And as even that's where it's good to work with a grant writer or a company like Empowered Forex. They help people with their grant writing because now that takes that stress off your plate so you can focus on what you're doing, your business, and the grants, at least the research is happening, the writing is happening, and that's where you want to start just overseeing it.
And that's when it's good to have like teamwork, like other people that are doing stuff or even collaborations. Cause like if they didn't find you and realize, oh yeah, maybe I should have a grant writer and stuff, and then have either a grant writer or Empowered Forex and all that good stuff, like how else will your business grow, right? Like you actually need a team when it comes to that. It's very essential. And we do have questions, and I know in StreamYard you have the questions, you can see them, but it's all good. Charmaine was like, we need to building this mindset in children's schools and at home. Also, persons who have ventured into other careers outside of the traditional lawyer, doctor, etc., should share those stories more to get others motivated and empowered, that we can follow. And I agree. And that's why, like, I try to have as many people on that's able to share their story. Because, like, even hearing the story with detailed detailing nights that it was bankrupt and you're able to revamp it. I was like, what, Johnny?
Well,
Because you know, just because you've hit that spot, it doesn't mean it's a failure, but it's a lesson, and then you're able to, you know, kick arse and all that good stuff.
well, I guess as you invited me to this show, and it's like the things I wish I knew about money, that was one of the big things that came as I'm thinking to myself, okay, if Camille asked me this question, what am I going to say? So it's learning that bankruptcy isn't the oh man, like to me that was the ultimate failure. Like in my mindset then, it's like, okay, I started a business, but if that thing fails and goes bankrupt, and that's kind of how it's portrayed in the media, it's like, oh, that's like the worst thing that can happen. So that put me in like a serious depression where I felt I failed, and I told my family was part of the investing in it, and everything was connected, and it becomes a part of you, and then you feel like you failed so many people. And how can I even show my face now? Because I was the face of DK.
Yeah.
It was my wife that really told me, you know, a lot of the things that you've built and that you've learned, you still have that IP in your mind. So that idea, it was the bankruptcy is actually a failure of the idea. It's not a failure of Ryan, or it's not a failure of you. So now bankruptcy is a tool that you use to almost reset yourself so that you can take, hey, what you've learned and try again. And that's where I was talking about friends that I have in other communities, where they'll just come up with an idea, go get money for it. If it works, it doesn't work, they bankrupt it and move on.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to get that crazy, because I don't know who has the heart to just be running companies like that.
No, it's too much. It's too much.
Like, it's not being too locked into our ideas. It's definitely our baby. Hey, you start your business, but you have to be able to analyze it and say, like, is this thing working, or do I need to shift? And shifting to something completely different is usually tough, but adjusting it so that it's more optimal definitely can happen. That's where resources and expertise, putting that around you, people can see it from a different perspective and help you make that adjustment instead of trying to do it by yourself.
Yeah, and that is ideal that you were able to overcome that, and you know, because especially I notice how you have your last name in it, and that's really
so that's what I'm saying. It was like locked in, like, yo,
like,
this
no,
is
this is my baby. Yeah, so that totally makes sense, because I noticed, I'm like, that makes sense. And then you have the Knighthood Academy, which is, again, so it's like other babies like forming like under umbrella and all that good stuff. And in a sense, if someone's watching this, and I think you mentioned it already, like with that failure or a setback, I call it setback. What is a great way for other entrepreneurs to analyze those setbacks and how to push forward? Is it like sitting down, like you basically sat down and analyze your life? Okay, it could go this way, it could go that way, or like the friend, like how would you say would be the ideal way?
Ooh, and that's where I think about this often, because I know coming out of the bankruptcy, there's things that it locked you out of. So purchasing a home was very difficult because that was kind of looming over, like a cloud kind of over everything. So if I was to do it over, would I have gone that same route? Things that come to mind: instead of personal bankruptcy, do the business bankruptcy, or just kind of grind through it instead of doing the proposal or bankruptcy, and just work with creditors and say, listen, I didn't realize you can negotiate with the CRA. That was something that, because you just feel like this is too much. But what I learned from the whole process is, as long as you answer their phone calls and talk to them, they will listen to you and they will figure stuff out. It's when you don't answer their call,
Ignore.
that's when things can really hit the fan. And hey, bank accounts get frozen. They start like sending those red envelope letters. So talk to CRA. Don't be intimidated by government. And even with the advocacy work that we do with ACBN, understanding that your local MP is somebody that represents you and you can talk to them. They're not on this pedestal. Sure, they have nice titles. They're, representatives of the entire community, like wherever their area is. But they are human beings that are not above a phone call with their constituents. So the way that we view CRA, we only really hear about the negative things. We don't hear about how to engage with CRA in a positive way. Call them just to have conversations about your business and be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. When should I go get HST? How often should I report my HST? How often should I report my payroll? We're there to answer these questions. And I mean, you don't like call
some of them.
Like, if you actually want to talk to somebody with life, you might talk to CRA because it's more just monotone, but find somebody to talk about money. This is why your podcast is so powerful, because these conversations need to happen, and we have myths and mystique of different concepts of money that keep us from doing things. So if we don't feel that we can engage with CRA, as soon as we miss one payment, we feel they're coming for our house. It's like, no, call them back, see what's going on.
Or read the letter.
And keep to your promise, keep to your commitment and whatever you arrange with them. So that's the same thing we try to teach from the foundation, is a lot of elements for your business. And I know one of the questions was around complications about businesses getting access to capital. It's because we do think too small. A lot of times we only think about what we can execute with what we have. So if I look at how I'm going to grow the business, it's based on one, how much profits I can save and then get equipment or do marketing that I need, instead of thinking, how can I leverage capital that's available to me, whether it's bank loan, investment from angels or VC, and then use now a bigger pool of money to really supercharge what I'm doing.
Yeah,
and that is scary.
It is.
Go the other route.
Yeah, and you're right. I don't even think people think about private. Angel investors. Like that's. I'm not even gonna lie. I think I learned about them recently when I was watching Earn Your Leisure. I was like, what?
Yeah. What are they talking about?
Right, and I think that's a great way of like learning, like podcasts like that, or just reading books, like different ways. There was a book that I saw recently. I was listening to another podcast, and they were just, I think Black is the New Rich. They were talking about, instead of even building your own business, just buying an old business.
Right.
It's already set up.
You see, and those are things that, who talks to us about that? So you only hear of like massive mergers and acquisitions, and Rogers is buying Shaw, like, oh, whoa, 20 billion. No, on a small scale, you can go into a plaza, talk to a business owner, or I think I actually might have been listening to that same podcast where it talked about they had a platform that people could put their business on there that are available for sale. Platforms like that, you'd see, actually even Kijiji, I know people put on there that their businesses are for sale. So that, and there's specific financing. I know the BDC has financing to help people buy businesses. So these are things that exist that just kind of flow right by us, and we have no idea, but people are utilizing them every day.
And I feel like that's even easier than like having a business plan. Like, I always say this, and I think I've mentioned it before, like, if you want to start a business, you need to go to a mentorship. You need a program. You have to go
Yes.
do this program before you can start your business,
Right.
because you have to know that uh, having all these
Yes.
caps and stuff, it's hard. It's not easy.
100%.
It's
Yes.
hard. Like the marketing, the accounting, the sales, the operations, like and I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer, but I always tell people, I'm like, if you I think you just need to have a game plan, go to something where you're able to learn these things before you jump in the deep end. Without
Okay.
a life jacket
That's
in the
fair.
deep end. Oh.
Yes. And it's so you're aware too. We were talking with Sheridan College about creating curriculum that makes Black entrepreneurs aware of what they're getting into. Because, for
Yeah.
example, we deal with the banks. You don't know how the banks are going to treat you until you get in there. So if you're unprepared, that it doesn't go very well. So we want it to go well. So if a
Exactly.
person, like you said, if you don't go through some sort of training, mentorship, everything you do is by trial and error. I remember the first time I went to cash a check over 10,000, and the way the bank treated me was like I was a criminal. I was like, I thought this was supposed to be an exciting time, yet I feel worse leaving this place than I did coming in. But then now what I know is certain questions are going to be asked. So as
Mm-hmm.
long as you have the answers to those questions, you
You're,
open your binder and you say,
yes.
here you go, here you go, here you go.
And they'd be like, oh,
Thank you very much.
okay,
Yes.
okay, Mr. Knight. I see
Thank
you're
you.
well prepared.
And done is done, you know? So
Mhm.
these are just it's
Steps and
experience.
the blueprint, right? It's just, but it takes others like ourselves to find people and to reach out and share those stories, because without knowing them, but people also have to seek for them as well. Like I'm a
Yes,
person that I want to learn as much as I can. I mean, there's a lot of overload knowledge sometimes, but I mean, it at least if you know the basic and you keep learning, you're bound to be successful in all that good stuff, right?
the people are very willing
Mm.
to share when they're asked. It's You're not going to find people a lot of times just sharing willy-nilly. So when I say that a lot we don't share notes, is because there's not people actively out there just saying like, this is what I'm doing, here is the game plan. You typically have to call somebody and say like, hey, I have some questions. And people are very receptive to that and wanting to help out when a person asks them for advice. So
Sure.
that type of mentoring and engagement is
It's always
definitely,
ideal.
we do that well. I feel like in the community, we'll definitely answer people's calls.
That's and I think someone was talking about the MPs. I need to know my MP. And how do you find that out? I feel like you just Google like the area that you're in, and then you'll be able to find the MP. And they actually, because Andre and I spoke to I'm gonna say North Brampton MP, and she was just like, just send us a letter. We don't bite. Just
Is
send a
that
letter.
Ruby Sota?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, yeah,
So I'm like, oh, we could just write to y'all like
yeah.
that? Okay.
Yes. And it's interesting that it was her that you were talking to,
Mhm.
because I remember emailing and calling each of the offices in Brampton, and
Yeah.
Ruby was the first one to say, hey,
Yeah,
I
she
have
was.
time, come and meet. So being able, that's what opened my eyes, like, oh, it's like she wants to meet. Who I thought that they're like untouchable. I thought you can't even get a phone call back kind of thing. But no, they're will. And after that, I've been able to meet with more MPs just to introduce myself.
That's
We can't expect government to just know what we're doing. And
true.
on top of that, we should know what the mandates are for the government. When we look at all the ministers and those offices have mandate letters, if
Yeah.
you can see something in their mandate letter that you can actually help with, they
Mm-hmm.
want to hear from you. Like they want to succeed with whatever the prime minister's
Because they want to
mandate.
keep They want to
They want to
build
be
their.
elected. So if they get a
Mm-hmm.
mandate letter and they don't execute those things, it's not going to look good because that's firepower for the opposition. So if
True.
you can say like, hey, I saw that you need to work on youth unemployment. That is something that I'm very passionate about. Here's what I do. If this can be of service, let's talk more.
Yeah.
Get the conversation
That's
going.
how.
And they're very open to that.
See, that's and King says yes, Google your ward. Um Jacqueline said, oh my gosh, I had the same experience. I believe she was talking about the bank.
Oh,
But
yes.
it's rude. It is rude, but obviously we
Yes.
know why they're treating us so. But once we show that we're organized and well put with the business plan and everything, then they're like, dang, we do want your money
And take
still.
away their firepower because that's what they use against us is that
Mm-hmm.
there's been nobody to train us the procedures of the bank. So typically our parents were going in there just to deposit a check and withdraw money. So
Yeah.
now when we're going as business owners to say like, hey, we need capital, that whole process, exactly like you said, there needs to be training before you start a business to say these are things that you're going to encounter. This is how you this is the process so that you're
Mm-hmm.
prepared. You can't just go in like this is warfare. Like
You
business
can't
is
go in blind. You
yeah,
can't.
you can't grow like that. Like
Yeah.
that
Or
is
or
just
it takes longer. And I
very
admit
true.
it does take longer. Like I know there's and I'm guilty for it as well. Like, no, I want to do it my way. I don't care if it take long, I just want like I just
Yes,
you wanna it's your baby, so you feel like, no, I wanna see my baby grow as it shall.
right.
And if it takes longer, fine. But
Yes.
at the same time, there is resources, mentorship, collaborations that you can do to help it grow just as a little bit faster. Give your baby some milk.
Call it spreading out the stress. When you collaborate with others, I know
Oh,
like my team at ACBN, there's
yes.
times when I'm ready to quit on an event and then
Hmm.
people pick you up. They're like, no, don't worry, we'll get it done. But when it's just you, as soon as you have those downtimes,
Mm,
everything pauses. And you
mm,
have to figure out how to re-energize yourself to get back going. So when you have that supportive ecosystem, it'll
yes.
definitely keep the machine operating when you're doing your dip.
Yeah.
The thing doesn't
Then
matter.
you have other people like, oh, nope, nope, we saw the dip. No,
Yes,
let's lift you back up and
yes.
all that good stuff. And I know we spoke about the bankruptcy, but I'm pretty sure there's other things. There's like three other things that you wish you knew about personal finance, like when you were younger and all that good stuff. And I'm that might be another topic or like an extended type of thing later after, because I really do want to hear about the difference of personal and business bankruptcy, but that'll be
Right.
like extra thing. um, but yeah, what was the three things you wish you knew about personal finance when you were younger? I know
So
you're not too old.
I just
Even
turned 40, so I wear that badge.
though.
I wear that badge. Um, so I remember the first well-paying job I ever got was when I was working with my dad. He worked at a steel company, and when I got that first check, it was
Mm,
like $400. And I remember I used to be a paper boy. So you used to get check like $5, $6.
oof,
Now you're
oof.
getting this chunk of money. And hey, with no fault to my parents, they gave me the leeway to kind of do as I wanted.
Hmm.
I wish I knew how to carve it up properly so that investments were being made, savings were being made, and I could spend a little bit of it.
Hmm.
Lord, I don't know how much money I made at that place. All of it's gone. So it cannot be accounted for. So, but
Woohoo!
then the next job I got,
Yes.
again, I remember learning, okay, bump in pay, now checks are bigger. And I started putting away, I think it was like 500 every paycheck because there was nothing for me to
Nice.
pay. I was living at home. So I was like, okay, let
Okay.
me put this away. But then I spent it on a sports car. So maybe that wasn't the best idea, because that it was sucking money out in not
Every high schooler I knew that drove, the
that's what you
Honda
say that
Civic,
for, and
soup
you're
up the car.
souping it up, and it's a whole thing. And I blame Fast and the Furious, because turned everybody into a drag racer. So this is where just introduction of, but I also wish I was humble enough to take direction, because I was a quite high ego inflated high schooler. So I don't even know if I would have listened. But if somebody came into class and said, you know what, today we're learning about stocks. By the end of the day, you are going to own your own stock. And then that I could kind of grow from it. Things like that were not introduced early enough. And I remember having this conversation with one of my detailers, because they wanted to buy a $20,000 car. And I was like, listen, first of all, you don't earn enough to carry that pain. But he qualified for the loan. This is where I was like, yo, who's going to give you this car? So that's a whole nother issue. That whole car industry and over leveraging people. With this car, I was like, find a car, 4,000 to 6,000, reliable. I'll introduce you to my mechanic. You use this car until you can get to that next level and then get a better car. Like, those are conversations that nobody had with me, where to say, hey, between the two options, put the $20,000 one away, and let's keep, because I did have a proper decent car, but it was like, and the first car, my Toyota Corolla, I love that car. So actually, I need to change my secret. What's it? The questions that they ask. It's like, what was the first make of your car? And now I cannot use that one. I just let it flip.
He's just joking. He meant Honda Civic, y'all.
So that car, I kind of jumped. I went from, hey, an 89 Corolla to a 2000 Acura Integra. It's like, no, there's stepping stones to stuff. And the extra money that you could have been saving, you'd be further ahead. So being humble to take that information, I wish I had that. But
I mean, I feel like, obviously, when we're in our teens and our 20s, we just want to, who knows if we'll see tomorrow, but we will see tomorrow, right? Well, if you do the right things, but you will see tomorrow. And this is like another discussion I want to talk about, because like in a different thing is I don't know how to reach all youths to be able to say, hey, you see them Jordans you guys are standing in line for and all them things? You can, like, if you just save your money, put it into stocks, make it build, and then you can get the shoes and stuff. Like, you're young. You know how long you have?
I saw a great post that said, instead of paying $399 for the first iPhone, if you put $399 into Apple stocks, you would have today $281,000. But here's the thing, when we're dealing with our youth, now they don't have the phone. So between then and now, their life would be so miserable because they don't have an iPhone. You can't talk to them about stock. What you can talk about is, hey, that $399, let's increase your earnings. So start a business, earn double that. So now you have $798. Half of it should go to buying your phone, and the other half buy the stock of the thing the brands that you like.
Exactly.
That's one thing I'm starting to talk to my daughter about. I was like, what are the things that you like? And after we wrote the book together, let's use some of that money to buy the stock of the company instead of just buying the thing.
I love that. I love that for you, because why I could have put your author and everything. Like, ladies and gentlemen, I told y'all he's a jack of all trades.
So Oh no, because of my
Oh,
background. Let me move.
oh, we saw it a little bit. There we go. Boom.
Jazz and Dad, Star
Mm,
Lemonade Stand.
see,
So
and that's like generational wealth at its finest. Because
yes.
you're not only are you part of it, but your daughter's part of it. So royalties, what?
Right. Yes.
And did you say three or did you say only two?
Two. So my daughter
Two.
Jasmine, she's
Mm,
10, and then
nice.
Christian, he is 7.
Okay, okay. Oh no, no, no. The three things that you wish you
Oh
knew.
yeah.
So I
Was it
think
2 or 3?
humble, stay humble, learn how to allocate the
Carve up the
money,
money. Yes.
and I think yeah, I think that was two. Do you have another one just in case?
Good question. Because I know the first one was realizing that bankruptcy isn't a failure. That
Okay. You know what?
I wish I knew.
Well, so that could be your third one. That we will bring that back and all that greatness. And I feel like someone did ask a question, which would have been my last or a couple questions is what is ACBN going to be doing or going to do differently in 2023 than that they thought that they were going to do from their business plan? Well, that's a good question still. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, I like that. Because I feel 2022 was a filtering year for me.
Mhm,
So everything that we were doing,
mhm,
coming out of the pandemic, a lot of things started happening, and you feel like, oh, you can do so much more.
yeah.
Then you realize, okay, what things actually move us forward and what is
Mm,
busy work. So 2023 is now taking all the good things that give us energy and really can move the work that we do forward and
yes.
focusing on those. So a
Nice.
big thing that we do is helping people get investment ready. So when we
Mhm,
talk about, hey, all this different types of capital that's out there, being prepared for it. We hear a lot about anti-Black racism. I was a part of a lot of the conversations with the banks to say like, hey, there's systemic barriers that are
mhm,
hindering Black entrepreneurs from getting capital. But now when they say, okay, we're going to open the door,
yeah.
businesses need to be ready because they're not opening the door and reducing their quality or their expectations.
Mhm,
So if the door opens, and this is what we're actually seeing, they create these Black entrepreneur programs
yeah.
and say, hey, the money is available, but low quality applications are coming through. So 25% are good and will go through, but
Yeah.
75% are still declined. And they feel like, yo, this thing, I thought it was built for me. Why am I still getting declined?
Yeah.
It's because everything goes through this mystic underwriter that you never meet. You don't know their name.
Yes.
They don't care what the program is called. It could be
Yeah.
called Fairy Tale Lollipops and Sugar Plum Fairies Loan. When it gets to the underwriter's desk,
Yeah.
it's all about risk. So if your business doesn't show that you're not high risk, it's going to
Mhm.
be declined. So this is now on ACBN to say we
Yes.
need to lean into how do we make businesses higher quality and
Yes.
prepared for these conversations with entities that they're getting money from. So that's one. The other one is trying not to do too many events. I'm not a person that likes events, but it always feels like we end up doing a lot of events. I feel like we see, oh, nobody's doing this type of event, so let's do it. So
Yeah.
now it's more partnering with other
Okay.
organizations that do events already. So
Yes.
like First
But you
Friday,
had some big timers, huh?
which one? Who's
Oh,
that?
um, the last, oh my gosh, the one where Andre was on, and then he, oh, there he is. I was trying to remember his name. Dr. George Fraser. I
Razor,
was like,
yes.
oh,
And he's gonna be
what's
back in
ah, nice.
person this February. So February
Ooh,
24th, mark your
okay,
calendar. The
okay.
symposium,
Wala
we
na
actually
to.
just locked him in. So he's
Oh,
coming up to Canada. This, I think, might be the first time he's back in Canada since at least for a few years. So yeah.
OMG. Because I remember watching that. I was like,
Oh man, that's still pinned to our Facebook.
mm, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, he is just giving straight fire. So, and then hold on, February 24th. Hold on, let me make
Yes,
sure we
yes.
out. Let me put it in my calendar. Yes.
So that'll be back at Sheridan College. So we're going to be doing it again
Okay.
over the 24th and 25th. So yeah,
Okay.
he's our keynote to kick it all off. We have
Nice.
another keynote the second day,
Mm-hmm.
Brian Duarte that runs Black Tech Capital. So one of the
Nice.
few Black focused venture capital firms. He's been making headway. He focuses a lot on clean tech, but does also invest in other Black businesses. So
Okay.
we want to
So
get you investment ready and
yes.
introduce you to the money.
See, you are doing big things in 2023. What? I'm glad. And are there any even though you said you're not into event planning as you but I don't know. It
Yes.
seems like you guys are doing big things, but is there any other
Well, and
avenues?
yeah, because we are part of the Black entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Okay,
So
true.
we're funded through the federal government and we do the Black entrepreneurship ecosystem conference. So in
Okay.
June, we're going to be doing that conference again. But
Nice.
what I wanted to focus on
Mhm.
is being that glue between all these organizations. There's at
Mm.
least 40 organizations that are across Canada, do this work for Black entrepreneurs. Now, when we say ecosystem, we
Mhm.
need to define these things for ourselves. We can't just use words and go by, because everybody has a different version of their own definition for words. And this came up too when we keep hearing about unity, unity this, unity that, the Black community needs to unite. But that's where unity even had different meanings to different people. So we did a campaign out through Derek Fagan and DF Media Productions
Yes.
and funded by Sheridan College to interview business organization leaders to
Yeah.
get their definition of unity, to say like, what does that mean to you so that we can actually understand what it means to unite. So I want to really lean into seeing all the nodes, like mapping the system, and then understanding how to
Bring it
connect us
and
all. Because to me, that's the win. The win isn't
yes.
the money in the program, it's us working together.
Exactly. And knowing all of the great stuff. That is you doing big I told you, don't I told you before. You're a celebrity. I
Right.
know I tell Dr. Vibe he's a celebrity, but I think you're the real celebrity. But
Right.
shh, don't tell him.
If anything, I'm a celebrity in training. I have to work up to that for sure.
Oh no, you're doing big things and I
Yes.
appreciate it. Like I'm I'm glad that a little setback with your first business grew you to this opportunity to be like, no, I need for us to I need to like share this information because what's the point of me having it all when other races share the information, unite together, and look how far they are. I know it's taking us a little longer, but I think we're in the right like steps. Like there's people in the States, there's people in Canada, and we also need to go back to like, Jamaica or the other Caribbeans and even back to the motherland just to unite as well because we are stronger together
And it's
than
possible. That's a
mm-hmm.
big thing. I love me some Les Brown, motivational speaker. And every other morning, that one of his recordings I listen to, it says,
Mm-hmm.
you might not be able to say you can do it, but you
Mm-hmm.
can say it's possible. And that drives me because you'll talk about, hey, we need to unite. It's international. We should be touching base with Africa and the Caribbean and the US. And you feel like, oh, it's too much.
Yeah,
It is possible. And
exactly.
because we know it's possible, we do what we can, and then you pass on the baton. So you're
Exactly.
not going to figure it all out within our lifetime, but this is
Mm.
an infinity game. We think too short
Infinity.
term. We
Mm-hmm.
have to know
Generations.
our history is more than the past 400 years where we had a hiccup. It's
Mm-hmm.
thousands and thousands of years that now we can catch up again. And that's really why they're holding us down is because they know what we're capable of. So when we realize what we're capable of, there's no stopping us.
It's just we're gonna just plow through and everything,
Done.
right? So that's jeez. And Ryan, how can the folks find you? You know,
Yes.
guys, he's a celebrity. But how can they find you? Because
Yes.
obviously everyone's gonna be there February 24th.
Oh man, I'm telling you, if you don't know, first of all, if you don't know who Dr. George Fraser is, Google that, binge at least 4 to 5 of his videos, and then get your ticket because it's early bird tickets until the end of January. So for the 2 days, it's only $45. Otherwise, it goes up to $75. So get it now before it goes up. And also,
let me Google it right now.
Oh yeah. So being able to meet with him in person to ask questions. And this is where I'm hoping he'll stay for the day because he's traveling. So I'm hoping we're gonna see how we can have time to ask questions. He has that blueprint of how to network within the Black community and amplify each other. If you watch his video, he has one of the most prolific conferences, the Power Networking Conference that he does. I think this one coming up is in Texas for 2023. These are things that we should be going as a group to really meet with other like-minded business professionals in the Black community to learn from, network with, make those connections. So, hey, if this is the first time you're gonna hear him speak, be there in person because yes, you won't be disappointed.
And I'm not even lying. Like the way I was just recording, I'm like, everyone, like my friends on WhatsApp were like, oh my gosh, why is she recording? I'm like, shh, y'all need to hear this. He's preaching to the choir and all that good stuff. So like, yeah. So what I'm gonna do is in the show notes.
How should people get a contact with you?
Yeah, and I'll put that in the show notes as well. So they'll be able to connect and all that great stuff.
So the best way is to go to our website, acbncanada.com, because that website, you can actually fill out our business needs assessment. And it takes like 5 minutes. And really that triggers a phone call with somebody from ACBN. If you did want to meet with me, Camille, I'll share with you my calendar link. And then people can just book time into my calendar and ask me questions. Typically, people ask about funding. So I love to find like what types of capital out there and help people understand what fits for them. So if you have questions about capital, funding, and getting money for your business, definitely link me up.
Ryan, it's been an amazing episode. I'm not gonna tell. We're not gonna hurt Dr. Vibes or Dr. Vibes feelings, but no, for real. Like this is such an inspiration because I just learned more and all that good stuff, and I'm pretty sure the chat is going crazy. I haven't seen the chat like this ever. I'm like, oh my gosh, multitasking and stuff. So it's amazing. Like most of the chat, Jacqueline was like legacy when it came to the book. She asked what about face. Wayne Palmer said know your straw man. Facts. The win is us working together. Each one teach one, and all that good stuff. That's so true. Let's connect. And you know,
yes,
I'm telling you, the celebrities.
And to quickly answer the question about FACE Coalition, so that's one of the other options for getting loans. So the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Program is delivered through FACE. Again, they were overwhelmed with how many applications came in. So it did take them time to go through the backlog. But what they're seeing coming out of it is there's the cream of the crop, 10 to 15% that their business plans and everything's in order. The other 85% need support and coaching. That's where ACBN and these ecosystem organizations, we have to now work with these entrepreneurs to get their applications up to the quality needed to get past the underwriter. Do not be fooled by the name of these loan programs. If it's called Black Entrepreneurship Loan Program, you still have to deal with the underwriter that is looking at your plan. And if they don't understand it and it looks high risk, it will be declined. So work with us, put pressure on our organizations to work with you to get your stuff high quality to make sure that you're successful.
Golly, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And I know you know Andre as well, and he isn't with us today, but we still represent him and all that good stuff. And once again, I just want to thank you for coming by. Like, I literally, it's funny because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to talk about today. Or like last week, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk. Hold on, let me look at my Google Forms to see if anyone responded. And I was like, oh, praise John. I was so happy. I was like,
yes,
oh, this actually works. Thank heaven.
yeah.
So it was amazing that I looked. It was honestly, the universe is just trying to bless me since it was trying to mash me up before. So I really appreciate you coming through and all that good stuff. And I hope all folks, make sure you tell a friend that you love them and all that stuff. And then, we have the, sorry, I was trying to remember before, the calendars. I still have calendars from Frequency Event Promotions. So if anyone wants one, you have to make a comment after the episode. So you'll be able to get a calendar. I still have a few, or I have a good amount, but yeah, I'm here to, give the world some options on different entrepreneurs in Toronto, because we have enough. There's so much of us.
One thing that I did want to leave your viewers with is we didn't get to talk about how we're expanding DK and
yes. No, you gotta switch. So you gotta switch the photo and tell them.
Yes. So how we're expanding across Canada and into the US is through licensing. So what I'm doing is actually documenting my journey on the Business Lunch podcast on Tuesdays. So at lunchtime, tune in. It'll be on YouTube, the ACBN YouTube, where I'm bringing in experts to talk about the best ways to license and expand. We've expanded a bit in the GTA, but now we want to test licensing our brand and our services and our process across Canada and into the US. And as I mentioned, we've been talking with South Africa, some organizations there to expand. So the goal, my big vision, is to have my flag planted in every country around the world where it makes sense. I mean, if they have to drive cars and have people that want to clean them, but yes. This is the first leg of this journey of international global domination. So join me for 12:15 on Tuesdays.
Listen, folks, there are no excuses anymore. Because Ryan just like gave y'all a list of things and he's sharing it for free.
Yes.
Make sure you guys look at his calendar link, yeah?
Yes. Yo, don't sleep on that. Because I do apologize. People call me and I'm really trying to be purposeful about my time in 2023. So when I'm with my kids, I do not answer my phone. If I'm with my wife, I do not answer my phone. If I put time in the calendar for family time, I am literally on family time. And I need an autoresponder that says, click here to book in my calendar.
Yes. So I 100% feel you on that one. I also have to do that. It's just like, boundaries and people being aware that yes, we have a business, but we need some me time, family time, and all that good stuff. So
when I see a call, I'm like, do we have a scheduled call right now? I don't think so. I have to do it, man. It can get so overwhelming. And the amount of calls that we used to get daily in 2022, it's not energy-wise, it's not sustainable. So I'm trying to get better at that. So it's not that I'm ignoring people We just need to find a time that is beneficial for both of us.
And respecting the system that you have. I was gonna say workflow, but I don't know if that's the right word. But like process, if you have the process, yes, follow the process that you have to contact. Because if you see in my emails, I do have to schedule an appointment. Right. It's right there. But I think I had to put it in bold because I don't think people see it, or like the
increased font, yes.
Yeah, like, or right after blessings. Here, schedule. You want to talk?
Yes.
And all that stuff.
I believe it.
But yeah, I'm glad we talked about that as well. But yes, folks, make sure you like, subscribe, and make sure you follow Ryan. And February 24th, 25th, boom. That's all. I don't want to hear any more excuses, okay? Right. And all that. And folks, on that note, we're gonna end with Andre's tune as usual. Just let me make sure I'm not struggling as I usually do. But I think I got it this time. Boom, bam, bam. Hold on. Chim Chimenyo. That's very interesting. You know what? I'm just gonna play it and then it's gonna find it. Oh, I don't even see it. Hold on. Because I only hear it, but I don't think you guys can hear it.
Yeah, it's very low. You can hear
it's very low. The good old. Now it should work. Let me make sure it works. Yeah. Guys, I told you, I sometimes I feel like I'm tech savvy, and then there you go. Boom.
Nice.
Financial literacy, knowledge is a must. So let the flip boss, watch the result flash and watch your life change and for a better cause. You have a business or a plan and want to make it. Yeah, flip and floss, so they want to manifest it. Yeah, and if you want to better manage all your credit, call the boss. Flip and floss, no doubt, then we do it. Yeah, flip and floss, money literacy boss. Yeah, greatness in our blood because we're working for your cause. Flip and floss, money literacy boss. Yeah, boots up your knowledge for your minimal cost. Hey, yeah, flip and floss, money literacy boss. Greatness in our blood because we're working for your cause. Flip and floss, money literacy boss. Yeah, up your knowledge for your minimal cost.